This is the National Hot Rod Association National Championship Drag Races at Raceway Park near Indianapolis, Indiana. While the Nationals is the largest, it's just one of over 10,000 drag races held at some 300 drag strips in North America, at which some 500,000 drag racers compete during the year. For the racers, the NHRA Nationals is the culmination of months, or in some cases, years of preparation and planning that can bring fame and fortune to those competitors who win the coveted Eliminator titles. Drag racing has become a highly sophisticated major sport, with annual attendance figures reaching some 30 million fans. It got its start in Southern California, but today it's a recognized sport in many areas of the world. The National Hot Rod Association and founding president, Wally Parks, is the pioneer of organized drag racing, and the utmost care and concern for the safety of drivers and spectators alike is demonstrated by NHRA officials who set forth the rules, safety guides, and operational procedures. The start of it all is registration and technical inspection. The requirements for competition are rigid, and to earn the NHRA Nationals official entry sticker, cars are carefully checked from every angle for safety and class specifications. NHRA safety regulations require that the driver be protected by roll bars and cages, seat belts, shoulder harnesses, safety hubs, flywheel shields, heat-resistant driving suits, helmets, flame-proof face masks, goggles and gloves, and parachute to assist braking if the car exceeds 150 miles per hour. After passing official tech inspection, cars move to their respective pits where they're readied for the qualifying runs. This is the behind-the-scenes activity that attracts the more dedicated race fans to the Nationals for a close look at the cars and drivers. Race enthusiasts travel thousands of miles to follow the action, and many set up headquarters in tents, cars, trucks, and trailers. Every entry at the Nationals is classified into one of 94 classes, where total car weight, engine displacement, rated horsepower, weight distribution, allowable modifications, and aerodynamics are all contributing factors in determining a vehicle's performance potential and classification. Cars of all classes compete on an equal basis by means of a modern electronic handicap starting system until the final moment when 7 champion eliminators collect their share of the more than $150,000 in total prize money posted for this event.
Let's go. I wake up to a little bit of drool on my pillow, feel like it's gonna be a bad day.
The premise for drag racing is a simple process of tournament-type elimination. It's the kind of tournament the sport fan understands. An entrant becomes a challenger. If he survives the early runoffs, he becomes a contender. And if he stays in the running until the end, he becomes a champion. Early races were started by a flagman, but today the cars are sent on their way 2 at a time by a multicolored series of lights that has been dubbed a Christmas tree. The tree contains small staging bulbs which indicate when each car is in the proper starting position. With the front tires centered in the beam, the staging light stays on. Once both staging lights are lit, starter Buster Couch actuates a half-second countdown sequence. The green bulb comes on, and the two machines hurtle down the quarter-mile track to see who can reach the finish line first. It takes timing, reflexes, and coordination to win races. And many a car has lost because an over-eager driver jumped the start and got the red light for an automatic disqualification. In the control tower at the start line, a dual-lane electronic timing system clocks each car's run through the quarter mile to the thousandth of a second. Once the light beam at the finish line is broken, the race is over. Every run is measured in elapsed time of ET in miles per hour, and the driver who can react in the shortest time from start to finish is the winner. It takes an extensive communications network to qualify and run off 1,500 machines, and NHRA officials keep the show moving at the Nationals with more than 11,000 timed runs made during the 5-day period of the races. The big fuel dragsters and funny cars burn nitromethane and alcohol, volatile mixtures that literally blast the high horsepower engines down the strip in a maze of smoke and sizzling rubber. Rear tires for drag racing are called slicks. They're designed to give maximum controlled bite. Racers want to lay as much rubber on the asphalt as possible to get the jump, or hole shot as it's called, on their opponents. Tires carry low air pressure to increase bite, and they wrinkle under the sudden stress of the power and torque applied at the standing start. With cars of every description, it's no wonder the Nationals is called the greatest car show in the world. It's said that all the competing cars and equipment at the Nationals are valued at over $10.5 million. With almost 1,500 entries, there are 12,000 pistons reacting to about 24,000 valves. With the kind of stress and strain that the moving parts of a drag race engine endure, it's no wonder the owners are choosy about everything that goes into their high horsepower machinery. Lubricants especially get the acid test, and they must hold up when the going gets hot. The last thing to go on a drag race car is the name. And aside from mechanical ingenuity, this is where the drag racer's imagination really takes over. Drag racing is a family sport in every sense of the word, and women drivers, too, have taken their share of trophies and cash. Among the top money winners is pretty Shirley Shahan of Tulare, California, a housewife and mother of 3 children who drives a lightning-fast superstock Dodge.
I like the challenge of racing. I like beating the men, and I like the people that race. And I like going to the races and traveling all over. It takes a lot of concentration in drag racing. You've got to have keen reflexes. The race is won or lost on the starting line. He who snoozes loses.
Almost every profession is represented at the Nationals. Hollywood actors and entertainers like TV Tommy Ivo of Burbank, California, who had a heartbreaking but exciting experience with his qualifying run. He made the run successfully with a 6.99 ET, but just after going through the lights, the clutch came apart and Ivo slid. The car was cut in half, a miraculous escape for Ivo. Also from the Hollywood scene is Dick Smothers. A graduate engineer, Pete Robinson of Atlanta, Georgia, qualified with a 7.04 ET and is on the bubble. All Pete can do is hold his breath and hope that no one will beat his time. Probably the most famous of all drag racers is Don Garlits, who took the Top Fuel Eliminator in 1967. Other top contestants who are vying for an eliminator shot are Canadians Scott Wilson from Ontario, Canada, who pilots a AA fuel dragster. Canada's leading female driver is Linda Pleva, who drives a Ford stock automatic. And Billy Kidd, who pilots an altered roadster called Will's Fargo. In round one, it's the AA fuel dragsters with Leroy Goldstein, second highest qualifier, taking on Canadian Scott Wilson. Don Prudhomme, with his Ford-powered dragster, takes on Dwight Salisbury of Newport Beach, California, in a Chrysler. They come out snorting, ready to jump on the start. It's Salisbury on top with an ET of 7.01. That's all for Prudhomme in this race. Don Garlits, Big Daddy with his Dodge-powered rail, takes a shot at Duke Ray of Chicago, Illinois, and Garlits wins the round with a 7.37, 218.9 miles an hour. The next run is a California contest. Steve Carboni driving the Kreitz and Greer entry against Bob Downey of Alhambra, California. The California drivers have been eliminating each other in these first runoffs. Carboni comes out ahead with the lowest ET of the day, 6.84 and a sizzling 226 miles an hour. Tom the Mongoose McEwen of Long Beach, California draws Sam Hagen of Levittown, New York, opposite sides of the USA, running a few feet apart. McEwen wins with an ET of 6.98 and 214.28 miles an hour. And now the gas dragsters take over. A most spectacular division of drag racing is the performance of the gas dragsters. They run on pumped gasoline, but they turn in ETs and speeds almost as fast as the fuel dragsters. The entire field of gas dragsters is running in the 7-second bracket. Bill Mullins of Birmingham, Alabama versus Dick Moritz machine driven by Ray Lundy of Oklahoma City. Bill runs two Chryslers to try and get the edge on his competition. Both machines break, but Bill comes up with a win. Gordon Collecting Collette of Portsmouth, Ohio, lines up against Arliss Tyner of Elwood, Indiana. Collette collects the round with a 7.74 and 191 miles an hour. Jack Jones of San Diego takes on Ron Brown and wins with a 7.60 ET. George Montgomery of Dayton, Ohio runs against Paul Day of Cincinnati, Ohio. A Mustang against a Willys Chevrolet. Montgomery wins to compete again. Don Nicholson stays in the running with a win of 7.89 ET. Out of hundreds of hopefuls wanting to make the field, only 24 will make the final eliminations. Lou Carrillo of New York draws the Canadian girl driver, Linda Pleva. Chevy against Ford. Linda fouls, but turned in a 12.53 and 112 miles an hour. The next runoffs involve the super stocks. The opening runoff will be famous Ronnie Sachs in a Plymouth and Lance J. Hill of Canada in a Camaro. Ronnie stops Lance with a 12.02 run. Shirley Shahan against Jerry Mace of Warren, Michigan. Shirley in her Dodge nose out Mace with a fine run of 10.96 at 123 miles an hour. In round 2 runoffs, Ronnie Sachs in the familiar Plymouth versus Vanke and the Barracuda. It's all over for Ronnie. He's out of the bracket, and Vanke wins it with an ET of 10.82. Shirley Shahan and her Dodge take round number 2 with a slower run of 11.08. In round 2 of Top Fuel, Steve Carboni competes against John Wybe. They pair off and move up to the staging line. The Kreitz and Greer machine wipes out Wybe with a 6.84 and 226.7 miles an hour. Leroy Goldstein on his second run pulls up alongside Ron Mankey. It's an easy win for Goldstein as Mankey has problems and takes 18 seconds to cover the 1,320 feet. Garlits against McEwen, and the crowd moves to the edge of their seats. These are the 2 big ones among the fuelers. Garlits stays in there all the way for a win of 7.13 and 220 miles an hour over McEwen. Dwight Salisbury of Newport Beach, California runs against Marv Schwartz of Largo, Florida. It's the West Coast against the East again, and the West Coast wins it with Salisbury going 7.14 and 207 miles an hour. Gordon Collette, former national and world gas champ, pairs off with Mark Pieri, and he wins it with a 7.98 ET at 193.54 miles an hour. Walt Rhodes outruns Bob Muravez with a 7.52 against the losing 7.72. In round 3, attractive Shirley Shahan puts her Dodge on the line with Richard Onfield in another Dodge, but Shirley loses in a close run. 10.96 for Onfield and a 10.99 for Shirley, only 3/100ths of a second apart. In the final Superstock runoff, Arlen Vanke takes care of Wally Booth driving a Camaro. Vanke and his Barracuda do 10.64 at 118 miles an hour to take the win and over $6,650. Excitement mounts now as the big fuel dragsters go into round 3. This time, Steve Carbone draws Leroy Goldstein. It's quite a disappointment for Leroy. He can't get going, and Carbone sizzles by with a run of 6.81 at 220 miles an hour. Don Garlits gets lucky is the name of this round. World champ Benny Osborne fouls, but the ET is exactly the same for both men, 6.88. A thrilling tight runoff in Super Eliminator round 3 occurs when Paul Stage tangles with Bruce Larson. They're neck and neck through the lights with runs of 7.99 and 8 seconds flat, but Paul Stage takes it by 1/100th of a second. Steve Carbone noses out Dwight Salisbury with an impressive run of 6.75 at 220 miles an hour. Carbone has been running very hard here at the Nationals. Top fueler Garlits gets lucky again, but he turns in his best time of the meet, 6.81, 223 miles an hour against Tom Hoover. The Top Gas final runoff matches Jack Jones and Walt Rhodes. Jones takes home all the Top Gas Eliminator money with an ET of 7.64 over the losing 7.81. This is it, the big one. Big Daddy Don Garlits, last year's champ, has a chance to make it 2 in a row. Garlits takes on Steve Carboni. Both men have taken run after run to earn their place for this, the final runoff. Tension mounts as the 2 big fuelers take their place at the start line. All eyes are on the staging line. Carboni is too eager, and he goes up in smoke. Big Daddy becomes the first man to win 2 Top Fuel national titles in a row. Garlits takes home $7,000 top eliminator money. And as Garlits said, that isn't all. Endorsements will gross $30,000 to $35,000 to the winner. To the drag race team, there's nothing like rolling into the winner's circle to claim their title, trophy, and prize money. And for those who failed to take their place among the winners at drag racing's largest event, there's the challenge of another race, another chance for victory, and a place among the eliminators.